In the previous lesson, we learned about the Tools, Panels, and Preferences file with an open document. What you see here is the logo that we're going to be building for our new company, Big City Pet Sitters. But before we do that, let's talk about some of the ways that you can create a new document of your own, and also let's talk about multiple artboards. Let's go to the File menu and choose New. When the New Document dialog box opens, you'll be asked to give your document a name. You can do this now, or you can do this after you save your document. What you will need to think about is what you intend for your document to do. For example, will you be creating graphics for a print job, a website, devices, film and video, or Flash Builder? Let's leave this on print for now, and now let's look down the list. So the next thing you'll see are the number of artboards. Well, we have a startup company, and it may be that we need letterhead, we need a business card, and we need an envelope. So we could do all of that in one Illustrator file by specifying the number of artboards. Let's specify 2. We'll add to that manually very soon. After that, we look down and we set up the rest of our document. What size document would we like? If we go with letter, that's a pretty standard size, so let's choose that for now. So we'll leave letter as the default. One thing that we will do, however, is change our points 2 inches. Notice that our width and height became 8.5 by 11 inches. If we needed a bleed, we could put that in now. Notice the little chain link icon over to the right. If you wanted your bleeds to all be different, you would simply click that icon and you'd see the chain link is broken. Because most of the time you probably want them all to be the same, we'll leave that active. Let's click the up arrow a couple of times to get a 1/4 inch bleed around all of the edges. One thing that you might want to notice is there's an advanced drop down. We won't change this, but when we're working with print, of course we're going to be in CMYK mode, and we'll leave our raster effect set to 300 pixels per inch and just leave the preview mode to default. Alright, so we'll close that up and accept our defaults, and let's click OK. So our goal is to create a piece of letterhead, an envelope, and a business card. We are going to need 4 artboards for that because the business card will have a front and a back side. The artboard over to the left, that's probably the correct size, but the one over to the right is way too big. So how do we adjust the size of our artboards? That's when you look over in the Tools panel and you click right here on the Artboard tool. This tool will pop us into Artboard mode, and we can actually adjust the size of our artboards or create additional artboards. So I believe Artboard 1 is probably okay. Let's click over here to select Artboard 2. And then we can manually click right here on these little nodes and adjust to get the size of the artboard we need. Now, our envelope, for simplicity's sake, is going to be about 9 inches wide by 4 inches high. But how can we tell if we have the right size artboard? To find out the dimensions of our artboard, we can go right up here and click this button to see the artboard options. Our selected artboard can be customized right here. So instead of just guessing and manually dragging, why don't we type 9, click Tab, and because we're in inches, we don't have to worry about typing that, and then 4, and we'll click Return, and now we have the custom artboard size that we need. We can just move this anywhere we want to by clicking and dragging down. Alright, so that's 2 artboards. Now we need one for the front and the back of the business card. Business cards are usually about 3.5 inches wide by 2 inches high. So what we'll do is start by clicking and dragging with the Artboard tool still selected. And you might notice as you drag, there's a little tooltip that comes out and kind of lets you know about the size of the artboard that you're creating. Well, that's handy enough, alright, but I think it'll probably be even more helpful if we use this button here to see our artboard options again. And once again, we can just type in the size that we need, which is 3.5 by 2. And click Enter. Very nice. Alright, well this artboard is exactly the size that we need it to be, so why don't we duplicate it? One quick way to duplicate an artboard is to simply hold down your Alt key if you're on a PC, Option on the Mac, and drag. Now it may be handy if you also hold down your Shift key and drag it over. And as you drag, you may notice your smart guides appear, and that just helps you keep things in line. So if you were to veer off a little bit, you'll kind of notice your smart guide lets you know. And when you get the other artboard, you simply let go of the mouse, and now you have your duplicate. All right, so now we have 4 artboards. If we want to get out of artboard mode, go over and click the selection tool, and now we have the artboards that we need. Since you'll probably want to rename your artboards to something that you might recognize, it's helpful to open the Artboards tool. Let's go to Window and find it. It's right in this list, about the 4th one down, right here, Artboards. The Artboards panel gives us the name of our default artboards, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you double-click here, you can change the name of your artboard. So we'll name Artboard 1 Letterhead. I believe Artboard 2 was going to be Envelope. And Artboard 3 would be Front of the card. And Artboard 4 would be the back of the card. I think just because we should. We don't have to, but I think I'll go here and make this a capital letter so it looks like the rest. And I just noticed that we have a few typos here, but I guess that's okay for now. So now we have our 4 artboards, and you may notice also that if you double click one of the items in the artboard, you can maneuver around from artboard to artboard simply by double clicking the artboard that you want to see. We'll just double click the zoom tool to get back to 100%. And don't forget that we can always double click the hand tool to get to fit on screen view. But in our case, if we hold down the Control minus or Command minus on the Mac a few times, you'll be able to see all of your artboards. We'll just scoot this panel out of the way and scoot this panel out of the way. You probably noticed that we have artboards and layers. We're going to get into the Layers panel and how to organize your artwork in the Layers panel in an upcoming lesson. But for now, just remember that having multiple artboards is a huge time saver, because think about when we bring over our logo. The cool thing is that we only have to store it once. Every single artboard will share our common elements from the Layers panel, and that's where we'll be going in an upcoming lesson. So for now, we should probably save our document. So let's go to File, let's go down to Save As, and in our project files, in Chapter 2, let's name this guy Artboards. And if we just hit Enter or Return, Illustrator will ask us which version. We are working with CS6, and we'll just leave the rest of the defaults. OK. And now we have a saved file called Artboards.